The great hall of the Galactic Assembly stretched for nearly a mile in every direction. Thousands of species filled the rising seats, their bodies ranging from insect-like creatures to massive beings made of living stone. Light from 3 artificial suns poured through the crystal ceiling. Bathing everything in soft gold dot at the center of the hall stood a circular platform where speakers addressed the assembly. Today, the platform belonged to High Commander Zethral of the Vaughn Imperium. He was tall, even by Vaughn standards. His gray skin was marked with ceremonial scars that showed his military rank. 4 arms rested confidently at his sides as he spoke, his voice carrying through translation devices to every ear in the chamber. The human colony known as New Haven sits within territory that rightfully belongs to the Vaughn Imperium, Zethral announced. Under Section 447 of the Galactic Territorial Code, we are exercising our right to annex this world. The humans will be relocated. This matter is not open for debate. A ripple of murmurs spread through the assembly. Some species nodded in approval. Others watched with curiosity. A few looked toward the small human delegation sitting in the lower sections. Ambassador Daniel Harris rose slowly from his seat. He was an average-looking man in his 50s, with gray hair and kind eyes that hid something harder beneath. He wore a simple dark suit, nothing fancy, nothing threatening. "High Commander," Daniel said, his voice calm and steady. "New Haven has been a human colony for over 200 years. 40,000 people call it home. They have farms, schools, hospitals. Children have grown up there, married there, raised families there." Zethral waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "This is not relevant. Territory is territory. Your people will be moved to another world. The Imperium will provide transport." "I'm afraid that won't be happening," Daniel replied. Laughter erupted from the Vaughn section of the assembly. Zethral's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. "Ambassador, perhaps you do not understand your position. The Vaughn Imperium controls 600 star systems. We have a fleet of 10,000 warships. Your species controls what? 30 systems? A few hundred ships?" He spread all 4 arms wide. "What exactly do you intend to do about our decision?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. He simply looked at Zethral with an expression that was difficult to read. "I'm asking you, formally and publicly, to withdraw this claim," Daniel said. "Walk away. Leave New Haven alone. This is your only chance to do so." More laughter filled the hall. Even species who weren't allied with the Vaughn seemed amused by the small humans standing up to the mighty Imperium. But not everyone was laughing. In the far corner of the assembly, an ancient Sylvathan slowly pushed himself to his feet. His name was Varathkan, and at 900 years old, he was one of the oldest living beings in the galaxy. His blue-green scales had faded with age, and he walked with the help of a floating support frame. But his eyes were sharp, and his voice, when he spoke, cut through the laughter like a blade. "Enough." The single word silenced the chamber. Even Zethral turned to look at the old creature. "Elder Varathkan," the assembly moderator said with respect. "You wish to speak?" "I do." The old Sylvathan moved toward the central platform, his support frame humming softly. "I must, because everyone in this room is about to make a terrible mistake." Zethral crossed his 4 arms. "With respect, Elder, this matter does not concern the Sylvathan." "It concerns everyone," Varathkan replied. He reached the platform and turned to face the assembly, his ancient eyes scanning the thousands of faces watching him. "I have lived for 9 centuries. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species destroy themselves through war and greed. But there is one memory that haunts me more than any other." He paused, letting the silence build. "I was young when the Krell Dominion ruled this region of space. The Krell were warriors, conquerors. They had crushed 40 species under their rule. No one could stand against them. His voice grew quieter. Then they discovered Earth. A few of the older species shifted uncomfortably. The younger ones leaned forward with curiosity. The Krell thought humans would be easy prey. Small, soft, living on a single world. They attacked Earth's first colony, a tiny settlement of 5,000 people on a moon called Providence. Vorathkan's eyes grew distant. The Krell killed everyone. Men, women, children. They broadcast the massacre across their empire as a warning to others. And what happened? Someone called out. Vorathkan looked directly at Zethral. The humans came for them. Not immediately. They waited. They prepared. And then, over the course of 3 years, they hunted the Krell across every system they controlled. They didn't just defeat them. They erased them. Every ship. Every colony. Every trace of the Krell dominion was wiped from existence. Today, you will not find a single living Krell anywhere in the galaxy. The chamber had gone completely silent. Humans do not forget, Vorathkan said slowly. They do not forgive. When you harm them, they do not stop until justice is served. Not revenge justice. And they define that term very differently than we do. Zethral laughed, but it sounded forced. The Krell were weak. The Vaughn are not. The Krell said the same thing. Vorathkan shook his head sadly. I am begging you, High Commander. I am begging this entire assembly. Do not let this happen. Stop this before it begins. Because once humans decide that you are their enemy, there is no negotiation, no surrender, no mercy that will satisfy them. They will keep coming until the debt is paid. He turned to Daniel Harris, who had remained standing silently throughout. Ambassador, please. Surely there is room for discussion. Daniel met the old Sylvan's eyes. There was something like sympathy there, but also something cold and final. There was room for discussion 5 minutes ago, Daniel said quietly. The High Commander chose to laugh instead. He turned and walked toward the exit, pulling a small communication device from his pocket. He typed 3 words and sent them. They chose poorly dot behind him. Zethral called out mockingly. Running away, Ambassador? Perhaps your people are as weak as the Krell after all. Daniel didn't turn around. He didn't need to. 3 days later, the colony of New Haven went silent. No distress signal. No communication. Nothing. The Vaughn celebrated their easy victory, raising glasses in their capital and praising Zethral's strength. Elder Vorathkan sat alone in his quarters, staring out at the stars. Fools, he whispered. You have no idea what you've awakened. The Vaughn invasion of New Haven began at dawn. 20 warships appeared in orbit, blocking out the morning sun with their massive shadows. Dropships fell like metal rain, carrying thousands of soldiers to the surface. Commander Velther led the assault personally, expecting the humans to surrender within hours. He was wrong. When the Vaughn reached the capital city, they found empty streets. The homes were abandoned. The schools stood silent. Even the hospital had been cleared out. 40,000 humans had simply vanished. Governor Patricia Walsh had prepared for this day for years. Deep beneath the surface of New Haven, a network of caves stretched for hundreds of miles. The colonists had mapped every tunnel, stored food and supplies in hidden chambers, and practiced evacuation drills until everyone knew exactly where to go. Before the communications went dark, Patricia sent one final message to the Vaughn fleet. We'll be waiting. Then she led her people into the darkness below, 6,000 light years away. The United Human Defense Council gathered in a bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth. The room was plain and functional, filled with screens showing maps and data. 12 people sat around a central table, their faces grim. New Haven is occupied, reported Admiral Gregory Shaw, a broad-shouldered man with a shaved head and tired eyes. The Vaughn have 30,000 troops on the ground. They're searching for the colonists, but so far they haven't found the cave network. Casualties? Asked Secretary of Defense Maria Santos. 847 confirmed deaths during the initial assault. Mostly people who couldn't reach the shelters in time. Silence filled the room. 847 names. 847 families destroyed. Dr. Kevin Marshall stood and walked to the main screen. He was a thin man with glasses and messy brown hair. The kind of person who looked more comfortable in a library than a war room. But his eyes held a sharp intelligence that made everyone listen when he spoke. "I've studied the Vaughn for 15 years, Kevin said, pulling up images of their military structure. They're powerful, but predictable. Their entire doctrine is based on overwhelming force against fixed positions. They line up their ships, point them at the enemy, and push forward until something breaks. And if the enemy doesn't stand still?" Admiral Shaw asked. Kevin smiled slightly. "Then they don't know what to do. The Vaughn have never faced guerrilla tactics. They've never fought an enemy that hits and runs, that hides in shadows, that turns their own territory against them. They simply don't have a response for it." Secretary Santos leaned forward. "What are you proposing?" "We already have assets in position," Kevin replied. "Captain Cole's task force has been waiting for exactly this scenario." Captain Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of the stealth carrier Relentless, watching the stars through the main viewport. His ship didn't look like much from the outside, just another civilian freighter hauling cargo between systems. That was the point. Beneath its plain exterior, the Relentless carried technology that no other species had ever seen. Stealth systems that made the ship invisible to every known sensor. Weapons that could disable enemy vessels without destroying them. And 50 of the best-trained soldiers in human history. "Captain, we're receiving new orders from command," Lieutenant Laura Mitchell reported. She was a small woman with short red hair and quick eyes. Cole's second-in-command and closest friend. Cole turned from the viewport. "Let's hear it." Laura read from her screen. "Operation Quiet Thunder is authorized. We're to proceed to New Haven and begin Phase 1. Rules of engagement. Minimize enemy casualties where possible. Maximize psychological impact. Minimize casualties?" asked Sergeant Peters, the team's weapons specialist. "After what they did to our people?" Cole's jaw tightened. His younger brother had been on New Haven. He'd received confirmation of his death just hours ago. The pain was still fresh, still burning in his chest. "We follow orders," Cole said quietly. "We're not like them. We don't slaughter civilians. We don't kill for pleasure." He paused. "But we will make them afraid. We will make them understand exactly what they've done. And we will bring them to justice." Laura nodded. "The fleet is ready, Captain. 12 ships, all disguised as civilian traffic. We can slip past their detection network easily." "Do it," Cole ordered. "And Laura? Make sure the colonists know we're coming. Governor Walsh needs to know that help is on the way." As the Relentless and its companion ships slipped through the darkness of space, Elder Varathkin stood before the Galactic Assembly once again. "You must intervene," he pleaded. "Force the Vaughn to withdraw before this goes further." Counselor Mirathex, a young Sylvathan who had risen quickly through political ranks, shook her head. "The Assembly does not interfere in territorial disputes. This is between the humans and the Vaughn." "You don't understand," Varathkan insisted. "This isn't just about New Haven anymore. The humans have been wounded. They've lost people, innocents, children. They will not stop at taking back their colony. They will come for the Vaughn, all of them." "Then perhaps the Vaughn should have thought twice before attacking," someone called out. Varathkan looked around the chamber at the faces watching with mild interest. "Treating this like entertainment rather than the beginning of a catastrophe." "I'm not asking you to save the Vaughn," he said quietly. I'm asking you to save yourselves. When this is over, when the humans have finished with the Vaughn, they will remember who stood by and did nothing. They will remember who laughed. And in 100 years, or 200, when you need their help, they will remember." No one responded. Khan lowered his head. "So be it." On New Haven, the first night of the occupation passed quietly. Too quietly. Commander Velther sent out patrol units to search the surrounding wilderness. 50 soldiers marched into the forests as the sun set, their weapons ready, their confidence high. None of them returned. The next morning, Velther sent 100 soldiers to find out what happened. They found no bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle. Just empty forest and silence. By the third night, the Vaughn soldiers had stopped volunteering for patrol duty. They huddled in their bases, jumping at shadows, whispering about ghosts in the darkness. Deep in the caves below, Governor Patricia Walsh received a coded transmission. She read it twice, then smiled for the first time since the invasion began. "What does it say?" asked her aide. Patricia looked up at the thousands of colonists hiding in the underground chambers. Men and women who had lost friends and family. Children who had seen horrors no child should see. All of them waiting, hoping, trusting that someone would come. "It says the cavalry is coming," Patricia replied. "And they're bringing hell with them." 3 weeks into the occupation, Commander Velther had stopped sleeping. He stood in his command center, staring at reports that made no sense. 2,000 soldiers missing. Not dead missing. No bodies recovered. No distress signals received. No evidence of what had taken them. They simply vanished, swallowed by a planet that seemed to be fighting back. "Commander, we've lost contact with Outpost 7, an officer reported. Velther slammed his fist against the console. "That's the third outpost this week. Send a reinforcement team." "Sir, we don't have enough soldiers to keep reinforcing. If this continues, then make it stop." Velther roared. His forearms trembled with rage and something else. Something he refused to call fear. "Find these humans. Find where they're hiding. Burn the forests if you have to." But burning the forests didn't help. The humans weren't in the forests. They were beneath them. Sergeant Andrew Pierce moved through the cave tunnels like a ghost. He had been a search and rescue specialist before the invasion, trained to navigate underground environments where one wrong step meant death. Now he used those skills for a different purpose. His team of 12 followed silently behind him, their weapons modified for close combat. They wore no armor. It made too much noise. Instead, they relied on speed, surprise, and perfect knowledge of the terrain. "Target ahead," whispered Catherine Wells, the team's scout. She was an engineer who had helped design the colony's infrastructure. She knew every tunnel, every hidden passage, every weakness in the enemy's position. Pierce raised his hand, signaling the team to stop. Through the darkness ahead, he could see the glow of Vaughn portable lights. A patrol unit, probably 8 soldiers, resting in a chamber they thought was secure. They were wrong. "Standard approach," Pierce ordered quietly. "No casualties if we can help it. We need them alive to send a message." The team spread out, surrounding the chamber from 3 directions. Pierce counted down on his fingers. 3, 2, 1. They moved. It was over in seconds. The Vaughn soldiers barely had time to reach for their weapons before they were pinned to the ground, their arms bound, their mouths covered. Not a single shot was fired. Pierce knelt beside the patrol leader, a young Vaughn officer with wide, terrified eyes. "You're going to deliver a message for us," Pierce said calmly. "Tell your commander that New Haven belongs to humanity. Tell him that every soldier he sends into these caves becomes our prisoner. Tell him that we can reach him anytime we want, anywhere he hides." He paused, making sure the officer understood every word. "And tell him that this is just the beginning." They released the officer and melted back into the darkness. By the time the Vaughn could organize a response, Pierce's team was miles away, preparing their next strike. In orbit above New Haven, Captain Nathan Cole watched the chaos unfolding on the planet's surface. Commander Velther has ordered all troops to pull back to the main bases, Lavra Mitchell reported. He's abandoning the search for the colonists. Good, Cole replied. Catherine's team has finished disabling their communication relays. The occupation force is now completely cut off from the Imperium. What's our move, Captain? Cole studied the tactical display showing the Vaughn fleet still in orbit. 20 warships, confident in their power, unaware of the trap closing around them. It's time to say hello. The Relentless dropped its stealth field. One moment, the space around the Vaughn fleet was empty. The next, a human ship hung motionless among them, close enough to touch. Alarms screamed across every Vaughn vessel. Weapons charged. Officers shouted orders. Cole's face appeared on every screen in the fleet. Attention, Vaughn forces. This is Captain Nathan Cole of the United Human Defense Fleet. You are ordered to surrender immediately and release all human prisoners. You have 60 seconds to comply. The Vaughn fleet commander, Admiral Dexfer, laughed. One ship? You send one ship to threaten us? You humans are more foolish than I thought. 50 seconds, Cole replied calmly. Lock weapons, Dexfer ordered. Destroy that vessel. The Vaughn ships turned their guns toward the Relentless. Energy weapons charged. Missile bays opened. 30 seconds. Dexfer smiled. Fire. Every weapon in the fleet launched simultaneously. Hundreds of missiles and energy beams streaked toward the small human ship and hit nothing. The Relentless had moved faster than any ship the Vaughn had ever seen. It danced between the weapons' fire like a leaf in the wind, untouched, unhurt. Time's up. Cole said. Space around New Haven exploded with light. 100 human ships dropped out of hidden positions throughout the system. They had been waiting there for weeks, invisible to every sensor, patient as death. Carriers, destroyers, cruisers, a fleet that shouldn't exist, built in secret shipyards that no intelligence agency had ever discovered. Admiral Dexfer stared at his screen in disbelief. That's impossible. Our spies reported their entire fleet. This many ships cannot exist. What you saw was what we wanted you to see, Cole replied. The truth is something different. Lieutenant Mitchell's voice came over the tactical channel. All ships report ready, Captain. Enemy fleet is surrounded. Cole nodded. He thought of his brother, killed in the first hours of the invasion. He thought of the 847 civilians who had died because the Vaughn thought humans were weak. Last chance, Admiral, Cole said. Surrender now. Dexver's pride wouldn't allow it. All ships, attack formation. We will crush these. He never finished the sentence. The human fleet opened fire. It wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. Human weapons didn't destroy the Vaughn ships. They disabled them. Precise strikes took out engines, weapon systems, and shields without breaching hulls. Within minutes, 20 Vaughn warships drifted helplessly in space. Their crews alive, but powerless. Cole watched the destruction with cold satisfaction. Mitchell, broadcast our transmission to every Vaughn world. Let them see what happened here. Already done, Captain. And, sir? High Command is reporting that Zethral has ordered a response fleet. 30 warships are jumping to our position. Good, Cole said quietly. Let them come. On the planet below, Governor Patricia Walsh led her people out of the caves for the first time in 3 weeks. They emerged into sunlight, blinking and crying, looking up at the sky where human ships now controlled the space above their home. Is it over? Her aide asked. Patricia shook her head. No, this is just the beginning. The Vaughn heard us. They killed our people. And now humanity is going to teach them what that means. In the Galactic Assembly, Elder Vorathkan watched the battle footage in silence. Around him, other species gasped and murmured as they witnessed the human fleet appear from nothing. Counselor Mirathex turned to him, her face pale. How did they hide so many ships? Our sensors should have detected them. Vorathkan closed his eyes. Because humans don't show their true strength until they need it. Everything you've seen from them, everything you thought you knew, was only what they wanted you to see. What happens now? The old Sylvathan stood slowly, suddenly looking every one of his 900 years. Now you watch, and pray that they stop with the Vaughn. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. 30 Vaughn warships had jumped to New Haven, expecting easy victory. They found the wreckage of their occupation fleet drifting in space and a human armada waiting for them. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Not a single Vaughn ship escaped. On Vaughn Prime, the capital world of the Imperium, High Commander Zethrol watched the reports with growing disbelief. His 4 hands gripped the arms of his command chair until the metal began to bend. "This cannot be," he muttered. "Our fleet is the most powerful in the sector. These humans are nothing but primitive." "High Commander," an aide interrupted. "We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. Put it through." Admiral Gregory Shaw's face appeared on the screen. He was calm, almost relaxed, as if discussing weather rather than war. "High Commander Zethrol. My name is Admiral Gregory Shaw of the United Human Defense Fleet. I'm transmitting from the edge of your territory." He paused. "We need to talk about what happens next." Zethrol forced himself to speak with confidence he no longer felt. "What happens next is your destruction, Admiral. I will gather every ship in the Imperium, and you'll do nothing," Shaw interrupted quietly. "Right now, I have 300 ships positioned throughout your space. We've been moving them into position for years, waiting for exactly this situation. Every major military installation in your Imperium is within our firing range." The blood drained from Zethrol's face. "You have a choice," Shaw continued. "Surrender unconditionally and face justice for what happened on New Haven, or refuse and watch as we dismantle your military piece by piece. You cannot threaten the entire Imperium. Even with your hidden fleet, we have 10,000 ships. We will overwhelm you, then call them." Shaw's eyes hardened. "Call every ship you have. Bring them all. We'll wait." He leaned forward slightly. "But understand this. For every human life lost on New Haven, we will remember. And we will hold someone responsible. 847 people died because of your arrogance. That debt will be paid." The transmission ended. Zethrol sat in silence for a long moment. Then he began giving orders, calling in every fleet from across the Imperium, preparing for the largest military action in Vaughn history. He refused to believe that humans could win. Heather Morris had been a war correspondent for 20 years. She had covered conflicts on a dozen worlds, witnessed atrocities and heroism in equal measure. But nothing had prepared her for what she saw traveling with Admiral Shaw's fleet. The humans didn't attack randomly. They moved with surgical precision, targeting military bases and weapons factories while leaving civilian populations untouched. At each world, they broadcast the same message: surrender and your people will be safe. Resist and your defenses will be neutralized. Most Vaughn worlds chose to resist. It didn't help. "Admiral, the garrison on Vethkar is launching their fleet," a tactical officer reported. Shaw nodded calmly. "Standard response. Disable their weapons and engines. No casualties." Heather watched through the bridge windows as human ships moved with impossible coordination. The Vaughn defenders fought hard, throwing everything they had at the attackers. But human technology was simply beyond anything they could match. Energy shields that absorbed any weapon. targeting systems that could hit a specific component from thousands of miles away. Ships that moved faster than Vaughn sensors could track. Within hours, the Vethkar fleet drifted powerless in space. Alive, but helpless. Why? Heather asked Shaw as the battle ended. Why not just destroy them? After what they did to New Haven, wouldn't that be justified? Shaw was quiet for a moment. Maybe it would be. A lot of people back home want exactly that revenge, pure and simple. He turned to face her. But that's not who we are. We're not here to exterminate the Vaughn. We're here to make sure this never happens again. To anyone. And how do you do that without destroying them? By making them understand consequences. Every military leader who participated in the New Haven invasion will face trial. Every politician who approved it will answer for their decisions. They'll see their own soldiers testify against them. They'll hear the names of every person they killed. Shaw's expression hardened. We won't give them the mercy of a quick death. We'll give them a long life to remember what they did. The Galactic Assembly convened an emergency session as human forces pushed deeper into Vaughn territory. Ambassador Daniel Harris returned to the Great Hall for the first time since the invasion. He walked to the central platform and looked up at the thousands of species watching him. You had a chance to stop this, he said simply. We came to you. We asked for help. We warned you what would happen if the Vaughn were allowed to proceed. His voice remained calm, but there was ice beneath the words. You laughed. Councillor Mirathex stood. Ambassador, the Assembly is prepared to offer mediation. Perhaps this conflict can be resolved peacefully. Peacefully? Daniel repeated. 847 of our people are dead. Men and women who never raised a weapon. Children who never had a chance to grow up. And now you want peace? Surely some compromise. There is no compromise. Daniel cut her off. The Vaughn will surrender. Their military leaders will stand trial. Justice will be served. He looked around the chamber. And all of you will watch. You will witness how humanity handles those who harm our people. Perhaps next time, someone will remember this day and choose differently. He turned to leave, then stopped. Elder Varathkan tried to warn you. He begged you to intervene. You ignored him. Daniel's voice softened slightly. I hope you learn from that mistake. On Vaughn Prime, High Priest Zolmarek knelt before the altar of his ancestors, praying for guidance that wouldn't come. Outside, the sound of panic filled the streets. The human fleet had arrived at their homeworld. Surrounding it completely, no weapons fired. No attacks came. The humans simply waited. Zethral stormed into the temple, his uniform disheveled, his eyes wild. You must help me. Tell the people to keep fighting. Tell them the gods will deliver us. Zolmarek rose slowly. The gods are silent, High Commander. Perhaps they are ashamed of what we have done. We did nothing wrong. We claimed territory that was rightfully ours. We killed innocents. We murdered children. The High Priest's voice cracked. I supported your war because I believed we were strong. Now I see the truth. We were never strong. We were simply ignorant of what true strength looks like. A new transmission came through every speaker on Vaughn Prime. Admiral Shaw's voice filled the air. People of Vaughn Prime, this is your final chance. Deliver High Commander Zethral and his military council to our custody. Do this, and your world will be spared. Refuse, and we will disable every weapon, every defense system, every ship in your fleet. Your military will cease to exist. Zethral looked at the High Priest. Tell them to resist. Tell them to fight. Zolmarek shook his head slowly. No, this is over. He raised his voice. Guards, arrest High Commander Zethral. The Vaughn Imperium surrenders. Zethral tried to run. He didn't get far. The tribunal was held on Vareth Prime, in the same great hall where Zethral had once laughed at humanity's warning. Now that hall had been transformed into a court of justice. With thousands of species watching from the gallery seats, at the center sat Judge Patricia Cole. She was 73 years old, with silver hair and sharp eyes that had seen both terrible grief and quiet triumph. Her youngest son, Nathan, had led the fleet that liberated New Haven. Her eldest son, Matthew, had died there. She had asked to oversee this tribunal. No one objected. 847 chairs stood empty in the front of the hall. Each one bore a name and a photograph, the faces of every human killed during the invasion. Children smiled from some pictures. Elderly grandparents looked out from others. Ordinary people who had done nothing wrong except live on a world that the Vaughn wanted. The accused sat in rows, behind energy barriers. Military commanders, political leaders, intelligence officers, everyone who had planned or executed the invasion of New Haven. Their gray skin had paled. Their forearms hung limp at their sides. The arrogance that had filled them was gone. "This tribunal will come to order," Judge Cole announced. Her voice was steady, controlled. "We are here to deliver justice for the victims of the New Haven massacre. The accused will be tried individually. Evidence will be presented. Verdicts will be rendered." The process took 3 months. One by one, the Vaughn commanders faced their crimes. Human investigators had gathered testimony from survivors, recovered communications proving who gave what orders, documented every death with painful precision. The galaxy watched species who had dismissed humanity as weak saw something different now. They saw a civilization that could have destroyed the Vaughn completely, that had the power to burn their worlds and scatter their people. Instead, humans built courtrooms. They gathered evidence. They followed laws. Admiral Lexfer, who had commanded the orbital fleet, was found guilty of crimes against humanity. His sentence: life imprisonment, with mandatory education about Earth's history and the people his forces had killed. Commander Veltho, who had led the ground invasion, wept as survivors testified about children shot in the streets, families torn apart, elderly colonists who couldn't run fast enough. His sentence was the same, but everyone was waiting for the final defendant. Zethral entered the court in chains. He had lost weight during his imprisonment. His ceremonial scars faded against skin that had turned almost white. But his eyes still held defiance. "High Commander Zethral," Judge Cole began, "you stand accused of orchestrating the illegal invasion of a sovereign human colony, resulting in the deaths of 847 civilians. How do you plead?" Zethral lifted his chin. "I plead not guilty. I did what any military commander would do. I claim territory from my people. Your species has done the same throughout your history. The evidence suggests otherwise." Judge Cole gestured, and images filled the screens around the hall. Communications showing Zethral explicitly ordering attacks on civilian targets. Recordings of him laughing as casualty reports came in. Messages mocking human weakness. "You didn't want territory," Judge Cole said quietly. "You wanted to send a message. You wanted to show the galaxy that humans could be crushed without consequence." She leaned forward. "How did that work out for you?" Zethral's composure cracked. "You're hypocrites. You preach peace and justice while your fleets destroy everything we built. You're no better than us. We disabled your weapons. We didn't slaughter your children." Judge Cole's voice remained calm, but her eyes were cold. "When our soldiers found civilians on your worlds, they protected them. When your soldiers found civilians on ours, they murdered them. That is the difference between us." The verdict was never in doubt. Guilty on all counts, but the sentence surprised everyone. "Zethral, you will spend the remainder of your natural life in custody. Each day, you will watch recordings of the people who died because of your orders. You will learn their names, their stories, their dreams. You will understand exactly what you destroyed. Judge Cole stood. We could have killed you. Many wanted us to. But death is too easy. Death lets you escape the weight of what you've done. This way, you will carry it forever. Zethral was led away in silence. In the months that followed, the Vaughn Imperium dissolved. Its 600 worlds were given independence, allowed to form their own governments under Galactic Assembly supervision. Human ships remained in the region, not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers, ensuring that the transition happened without violence. Elder Vorath Khan requested a private meeting with Ambassador Daniel Harris. They sat together in a small garden on Vareth Prime, two old beings who had seen too much. I must ask you something, Vorath Khan said. You had the power to destroy them completely. The Vaughn killed your people, mocked your warnings, threatened your very existence. Why did you show mercy? Daniel was quiet for a moment, watching a small fountain bubble in the garden's center. When I was young, my grandfather told me a story, he said finally, about a time in our history when we faced a similar choice. An enemy had attacked us, killed millions of our people. We had the power to erase them from existence. He paused. We chose not to. Instead, we helped them rebuild. We showed them a different way. And today, they're one of our closest allies. You believe the Vaughn can change? I believe anyone can change, given the chance. Daniel turned to face the old Silvathan. But I also believe in consequences. The leaders who ordered the attack will spend their lives remembering what they did. Their children will learn the truth about what happened. And maybe, in 100 years, the Vaughn will be different. Better. Vorath Khan nodded slowly. I warned the Assembly about your kind. I told them you were dangerous. Were you wrong? The old Silvathan considered the question. No. You are dangerous. Perhaps the most dangerous species in the galaxy. He smiled slightly. But you are also something else. Something I didn't understand until now. What's that? You are hopeful. Even after everything that was done to you, you still believe in redemption. In the possibility of a better future. Vorath Khan stood slowly. That is why I was wrong to fear you. You don't want to rule the galaxy or destroy your enemies. You want to make things better. Daniel rose as well. We try. We don't always succeed. But we try. On New Haven, the colonists rebuilt their homes. The caves that had sheltered them became museums, preserved so future generations would remember what happened there. Memorial gardens grew where the dead had fallen, filled with flowers from Earth and a dozen other worlds. Governor Patricia Walsh stood before a crowd of survivors on the first anniversary of the invasion. Behind her, the names of the 847 victims were carved into black stone. We will never forget what happened here, she said. We will never forget the people we lost. But we will also not let grief turn us into monsters. We fought back because we had to. We showed mercy because we chose to. That is who we are. Timothy Grant, a young diplomat fresh from Earth, walked among representatives from a dozen species who had come to pay their respects. They asked him questions about humanity, about their history, about how they found the strength to be both fierce and compassionate. He gave them the same answer each time. We remember everything. The good and the bad, the victories and the losses. And we try to learn from all of it. In his private quarters, Elder Vorath Khan added a final entry to his memoirs. He wrote slowly, knowing these words might be read for centuries to come. I warned the galaxy that humans don't forgive. What I should have said is this. Humans remember everything. Every kindness shown to them, they repay tenfold. Every wrong done to them, they correct with justice rather than vengeance. They are not angels. Their history is as bloody as any species. But they learn from their darkness, and they emerged from it with something precious. The belief that tomorrow can be better than today. Vaughn learned this lesson the hard way. May the rest of the galaxy learn it through wisdom rather than suffering. Humans don't forgive easily, but they do something far more remarkable. They offer the chance to earn forgiveness. And in a galaxy filled with violence and cruelty, that may be the most powerful thing of all.